weeks we've been talking about adaptations. Does anybody remember what adaptations mean? Chloe.
Like, you might have the same thing with your parents.
Those were traits that we talked about. What is an adaptation? Maddie. Right. So animals have different body parts that help them survive. Can someone give me an example of an adaptation that an animal has? What do you think, Kylie? Their feet look different, and what do you think their feet would help them do? Because remember, an adaptation is something that helps them to survive. Walk or dig for food. What about Lily? What do you think? Swim. Paint.
It might be the same color as like a poison, something that's poisonous, and they might stay away.
Right, okay. So today we're going to be looking at birds and different types of bird beaks. We're going to be looking at bird feet. So all of these body parts are suited for where animals live and what they want to eat, just like you guys said. So we're going to identify some different types of beaks and feet first, and then we can go ahead and construct our beak, okay? So let's start. If you can flip your page, we're going to work on the beaks first. If you can flip to your beak page. Okay. And I'm going to read off some clues, and we're going to label the beaks by a number, okay? Because we're going to come back and use those numbers later on, all right? So the first beak we're going to talk about is called a predator beak. It's curved and it's a thick and strong beak. So does anyone see a beak that is curved and is thick and looks strong? What do you think, Jada? You think this one? You're right. That is called a predator beak. So we're going to put a 1 right next to that beak. Everybody see that? Alright. What about a scoop beak? This beak allows a bird to scoop food out of the water. Do you see a beak that could help with that? What do you think, Bree?
This one right here.
You think this one?
Yeah.
Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Okay, so what are we are going to put a 5 next to that beak, okay? Alright, the next one is a spear beak. These are pointed and long beaks, like a spear. What do you think, Caitlin? You think this one? This one you think? Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree? Alright, we're going to put a 2 next to this beak. Okay? A chisel beak. This is a medium length and it's pointed for cutting and making holes. What do you think, Nate? Which one of these would be a chisel beak? You think this one? Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree? Alright, we are going to put a 6 next to this beak. Alright? What about a cracker beak? That's kind of a funny word. It's a short and thick beak, and it's pointed to break into hard shells of seeds. What do you think, Layla? A cracker beak? This one?
Yeah.
You're right. That is a cracker beak. And we're going to put a 4 next to this. And the last one, does anyone have an idea of maybe what that beak would be called? Have you ever seen a bird with that beak before? What do you think? It could be a duck beak. Do you think it has a, what do you think, Owen?
It's called a bill.
A bill? This beak is called a strainer beak. We're going to put a 3 next to this. But a strainer beak is flat and wide, and it enables a bird. What does enable mean? Has anyone heard that word before? Bree, what does enable mean?
Enable means that you can do something.
It helps you do something? Right. So these are flat. This beak is flat and wide because it helps a bird to hold their food while they're straining water. What is straining? That's an interesting word. What do you think straining means, Chris?
It's like it can come out of your mouth and like the water like stuff will come out of your mouth and then you eat the food.
So it helps water to strain out, but it keeps the food in. Has anyone used something called a strainer before? Or do you have something in your house maybe? What do you think, Autumn?
Those little bowls that you can, my mom uses macaroni because when you put it in a boiled pot, then there's water in it, hot water, but you can there's little holes in this type of bowl, and you can dump the water and the stuff in there, and then the water will just drain through the little holes, but the macaroni will
Right, so it keeps your food in, just like the beak will keep the food in the mouth, but all the water is strained out so it can eat the food. All right, I believe we're on the same page. We're gonna do feet now. We're gonna look at these different kinds of feet. Okay, so we're still gonna label with numbers. So the first pair of feet we have are called paddle feet, and they're broad and wide to help move or to swim in the water. Does anybody see some feet that look like that? What do you think? What do you think, Dylan? Do you see any paddle feet? They're wide so to help a bird swim in the water.
The one next to the long foot.
The one next to the long foot, this one?
Yeah.
Anyone agree or disagree?
Agree.
Agree? All right, we're going to put a 6 next to this. Okay, perching feet. 3 toes pointing forward and 1 toe pointing backwards with little claws to help grab onto branches. Does anyone see a pair of feet? What do you think, Alea?
I think this foot this foot these nails right here, these foot right there,
You think this one?
yeah.
Do you think those would help you to grab onto some branches? It said there's 3 toes pointed forward and 1 is pointing backwards with little claws to help grab onto branches. Does anyone see another pair of feet? What do you think, Erica?
The third one?
These? Yeah, you're correct. These are called perching feet. We're going to put a 3 next to these. All right, predator feet are strong for catching and carrying prey. What do you think, Russell?
Next to 3.
Right. Hey, Alea, do you see the difference between these two right here? These are smaller claws for helping to grab onto branches, where these are a little bit thicker so they can grab onto their prey and carry them.
Eagles.
They do look kind of like eagle's feet. What about wading feet? They're long and good for walking in water, in ponds or swamps, maybe some streams. What do you think, Caitlin? These? You're right. We're going to put a 1 next to those. Climbing feet. They have 2 toes that are pointed up and 2 toes that are pointed down to help cling onto trees. What do you think, Chloe? 2 toes that are pointed up and 2 toes that are pointed down.
The one right under the feet.
These?
Yeah.
You're correct. We're going to put a 4 next to those. Those are called climbing feet. And then our last ones are called running feet. They have 3 toes that are pointed forward and 1 toe that's pointed backwards, but they don't have claws because it helps them to move easier on the ground. What do you think, Autumn?
The one next to 6, 7.
Right. We're going to put a 5 next to this one.
Okay.
All right. Excellent job with identifying those feet. We are going to move on. We're going to talk about structures next. Some behavioral structures and some behavioral adaptations and some structural adaptations. Does anybody know what I mean? What it means when I say behavioral adaptations? Have we talked about that before? What do you think, Kylie?
Something that helps them behave in a way that helps them live.
Right. Can you give me an example of behavioral